can't tell you how many times my parents have told me, just graduate. Even when I wanted to drop out, even when my grades dropped, when I switched from nursing to English, they told me, you will not be successful unless you get a degree.
The idea that higher education will make you more successful and contribute to the economy as a whole is nothing new. In fact, the government has been pushing this for years. Ronald Reagan first established the National Commission on Excellence in Education. Bill Clinton also tried to establish standards, and most of you will probably remember when President Bush signed the No Child Left Behind Act into law. More recently, President Obama has made a push for free community college to make an advanced degree available to almost anyone. And in theory, this idea works. More educated people have better skills get better jobs lead to more money in the economy. It's the full circle of success.
A college education then has become a necessity for much of the country, especially our generation. If we don't have a degree, then we're not considered a competitive prospect for employers. And if employers don't want us, well, you know the rest. And while there are many factors that contribute to an idea this complex, it's this rhetoric that has made the college experience more and more complex. From the application process to the classes we take, the college culture is changing.
If you're not using it, you're at a disadvantage now. My first experience was sophomore year summer because I had a physics test that I had not studied for at all. For me, it's more personal, like study-wise, because I have really bad studying habits sometimes, bad time management, a lot of problems procrastinating. So if I know I need to crank something out, sometimes I'll pop on and be like, all right, ready to go for the next X amount of hours, get it all done in one shot, and be over with it. And I think the scariest thing for me has been realizing how much I sometimes depend on it to do my work. And I've been like, there have been times I've done my work without any Adderall, and I've been like, look, you can do it on your own, you're fine, like you're getting it done. And it's like, why am I so dependent on it? And I definitely think that it's a habit that once I leave college and once I graduate, I don't want to have anymore. And I feel like a lot of times it's like, I need to have those extra hours of productivity that Adderall gives me in order to stay afloat in a system that is a cheating system, I guess.
So everybody think back to their freshman year. As cheesy as it sounds, I was so excited to be attending the University of Florida. Not just having teachers, but having professors. Not just going to classes, but going to lectures in huge auditoriums. Even buying my first blue book was a big deal. But that optimism I had for being here and getting that higher learning experience, it quickly diminished. Before I knew it, my peers were pressuring me, saying, you need to volunteer, you need campus involvement, you need a leadership role. On top of that, you should probably get a job. Before long, I was overwhelmed with this idea that I wasn't doing enough. On top of that, I went to an info session my freshman year. This was when I was a nursing major, pre-nursing. And I sat and I listened to the info session. It was all about what GPA would be good to apply to the nursing school. And then afterwards, they had a question and answer panel. And one girl raised her hand, and I'll never forget this. She said, so what looks better on our application? Volunteering with hospice or volunteering with at-risk school children in the Gainesville area? And at that moment, I was like, what is the point of this? Why are we here if the whole point of her being here is to just make her application more competitive? What about the whole learning part?
Think about Kate's story and your own experiences and ask yourself, what is the purpose of our education? When getting a degree is the crucial means to getting a job, we can all agree that leaving with a deep understanding and knowledge really takes a backseat. If getting a high GPA is what you need to get that internship, what are you going to do? I'm sure some, if not most of us, have signed up for a course because you've heard it's an easy A, or done online homework with a friend, or taken that pass-fail option because you want to protect your GPA. What about using smoking notes or Study Edge? I'm sure most of you have heard or used also prep courses that help you get the highest score for the GMAT, the LSAT, the GRE. We're all in the system, fighting and clawing to stay on top because we're told that if we don't, we won't succeed.
Ultimately, life is not about who cheats or who doesn't, it's about who prospers and who gets shit done. I think so. I don't really remember like any first time. I guess you learn from it. Some things are bad, some things are good. Definitely a couple of times I did study a lot. Sometimes I didn't study anything. Just because it's self-medicating, and if you take too much, you might go into like sort of a panic attack, or like you might feel really anxious. If you take it over a long period of time, you're bound to crash. And like if you stop, you get a little bit emotional. I don't like it. It's not. I try to avoid taking it, but eventually it all boils down to just do what you want and make your own decisions.
So what's one word that you use to describe Adderall?
One word? Sticky.
Competition tends to bring out the worst in people. People do anything to get that better grade, get that one-up people on that assignment. And the thing that you hear about nationwide is that makes it in the news when it comes to college kids is cheating scandals. You can think of a bunch of examples, but there are three that come to my mind. The first was at Dartmouth, where 65 students were caught in a cheating scandal in probably the most ironic situation ever, in a sports ethics and religion class. And they were passing their clickers around, and if someone wasn't in class, they'd give the clicker over, and, you know, in an ethics class, really, of all places. So then the second scandal, which I wanted to highlight, was in Harvard, another Ivy League school. All these kids, brilliant minds, best people in the country are in these schools, but yet 125 students take-home essay. Who knows, they were sharing ideas. Hey, what'd you write for this paragraph? What'd you put on that paragraph, you know? I mean, that's the way that I would think you cheat on a take-home essay. You're not gonna turn in the same essay. I mean, hopefully none of us are that stupid. But then the third thing, which hits kind of close to home, because University of Florida, 2012, 81 students caught cheating on a computer science project. Right here on our campus, just like at the Ivy Leagues, Harvard, Dartmouth. We're all in that cheating system that Krithi talked about, that Caesar talked about. And it's crazy to think that all of us, we all share this whole notion that we need to get to the top and we all have the same motive, cheating. And there's one girl that got quoted saying, "I'm really angry at the fact that students got away with this in earlier semesters. We're taking the hit, and I believe that is unfair." They don't care about the fact that it was cheating. They care about the fact that they got caught. And that's what's mind-blowing to me.
So this past fall, I took an introductory course for creative writing. And I was so excited because since I've come to UF, I've been trying to get into fiction writing, like a fiction writing course. And, but it wasn't writing our own stories. It turned out to be doing a bunch of different analyses for other writers and analyzing why their fiction was so great. So long story short, I was not enjoying the course at all. And I waited till the last minute to do a paper. And I was complaining to my friend. I said, I'm gonna have to be up all night. I'm gonna write this paper. And her friend overheard and said, well, do you want some Adderall? And as a junior, this past fall, I had never heard of Adderall. And maybe if you guys haven't heard of it, it's a prescribed drug given to adults and young adults like us to treat ADHD or narcolepsy. And fun fact, I ended up saying yes to the Adderall pill, and I traded the girl my leftover Four Rivers mac and cheese. She didn't want money, so everybody's priorities are different. So I took that Adderall, I finished my paper, I was focused for over 10 hours, I got a bunch of other stuff done. And after that relief wore off, I got really angry because I felt cheated. I thought, I'm a junior. How long has this been going on? How many other students have been taking this pill and having this advantage over me? So, when I got to this class and I saw the syllabus for a social campaign idea, the first thing that came to mind was Adderall. I wanted to start a conversation with other students about why we're taking Adderall and how many kids are doing it.
So the first thing we did to get the ball rolling on our campaign was we made a survey in Google Forms and posted it all over social media, shared it on Class 2016 Facebook page, Twitter, all these places, and told people send it to your friends and give us responses. And it turns out we got back almost 300 people responding to our 12-question survey. And we wanted to highlight two of the most important questions that we asked, which is the ones that we wanted to use to just kind of hit the point home in terms of just data, hard numbers. So the first thing was that we asked how many people felt that Adderall was an effective solution to studying. And an overwhelming percentage, almost 34.2% of people said that they think that Adderall is an effective form of studying. And then it goes further because we ask if they feel the need, if they can't study effectively without Adderall. And 22.6% of our respondents said, yes, I need Adderall to study. That's a scary prospect. Adderall is considered an amphetamine. So basically what you've done is if you're sitting there and you're constantly taking Adderall for exams and stuff, you're almost hooking yourself on speed, essentially, on a drug. And it's scary because people think that in order to do this, they need it. The word need in that question, people read that word and said they needed it. It's a scary prospect to think that people feel like they need a drug to get ahead. It's just, that goes back to that competitive nature. People want to get ahead and they'll do anything to do it.
So what if we look at it from a new perspective then? Instead of seeing Adderall as a new trend in cheating, why not look at it as an effect or a reflection on the current education system? With all our efforts trying to bring the conversation into the university, it was mind-blowing to see that it was the university trying to push us out.
When I contacted the Counseling and Wellness Center to get information about Adderall use on campus, I didn't really get much help. While the nurse I spoke to told me that there was a problem on campus, she said that she didn't feel comfortable helping out in our project. When Kate contacted the library to get our precious Adderall machine inside the library, contained Skittles, M&Ms, and fake Adderall, the librarian said that while we were pursuing a good cause, it might be just a little bit too distracting. We didn't care. We decided to place it right outside the library instead. And as you can see, we got some attention.
That post reached 600 likes by the time it got to its highest point.
But despite the opposition from university administrators, we found that once we got the conversation started, a lot of our peers were actually willing to listen and to talk to us. We got messages on Facebook, tweets, Git Yaks, Yetis, whatever those are, Snapchats. And we even set up a forum on our blog where people could post anonymously, like tell their story. And the responses were really interesting because a lot of people, admitted, I have done this, or I know people that have done this, or I know people that feel the need to do this. And a lot of people even said, this campaign is really interesting and useful, and if it's something we need on the UF campus because this is a serious problem.
So we learned a lot from our campaign. One of the first things, and that hits home the most, is that our generation, we're the first generation to take drugs not to check out, but to check in with more persistence than ever before. The students on this campus regard Adderall not as a bad thing, not as a good thing, but as a necessary evil that comes with trying to get a degree here. We learned that the university isn't quite ready to tackle this issue, but we did get them to listen. And that was our sole purpose when we created Let's Talk Adderall. Thank you.